Vancouver's condo market has been heating up, so much so that my next guest says condo flipping is rearing its head. Steve Saretsky is a realtor with Sutton West Coast Realty and the founder of Van City Condo Guide. Steve, you've crunched some numbers. You're taking a look at this flipping. What are you seeing in terms of the percentage of the market?
Yeah, we've seen an increase in home flipping, basically homes that have been bought and sold within 1 year. That number's been steadily increasing over the last couple of years, and right now it's at just under 4.5%. That includes all of Vancouver homes, detached townhouses and condos.
So when you get a number like that, 4.5%, 5%, a lot of people will say it's slow single digits. What's the big deal, though? When you're talking about flipping taking up 5% of the market in the condo market, where we're talking about here, does that start to get you into a spiral of upward prices, higher prices begetting higher prices?
Yeah, I think that's definitely what we're seeing. I think it's sort of like a positive feedback loop in terms of as prices continue to escalate. I think it almost encourages more speculation, people looking to flip properties, or maybe they intended to live on them, but they've already made such a big profit that they figure they may as well cash out. So, I mean, what we're seeing right now is in 2017, Vancouver condos have actually been increasing at 2.2% on average per month.
Now, I know when we talk about flipping, we like to put it in about a 12-month time frame, but you pull back the numbers and the lens in terms of some of the numbers you did with Tom Davidoff at the UBC, who we're also very familiar with here on the show, and you found a much bigger number in terms of people flipping condos within 2 years.
Yeah, I think that number was around 11%, so obviously it's I think it's a pretty substantial number in the grand scheme of things, and I think it obviously just makes things a little bit more challenging for maybe people that are looking to have a place to live in and hold long term, particularly first time buyers. I think it's extremely challenging for them. So, and again, as prices go up, I think that's just encouraging speculation, and we are definitely seeing an increase in that. With that being said, it is still below our peaks in 2007. So I think it kind of suggests that there might be still some room to go for sure.
How frustrating is it being a resident of Vancouver? I understand you're a lifetime resident. We talk about the affordability crunch. The governments there of all levels talk about trying to take some sort of action. And then all these ads keep popping up halfway around the planet. Come buy our condo developments. We'll pay the 15% foreign buyer tax. That's got to be a pretty tough situation for the city to be in as it tries to solve this crisis.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's definitely been a bit of a rift between the development community and obviously local Vancouverites here in terms of trying to figure out exactly how all these pre-sales are being dished out, and there's been a lot of marketing that's come to light, advertised over in Hong Kong and sales centers there. So I think it's definitely creating some frustration amongst locals, and it's very interesting to watch how it plays out.
Now, a lot of that frustration over the years has been directed at Christy Clark and her Liberals. Of course, we have shifting sands in terms of BC politics, anticipating later this week that perhaps the government can fall. Then we're going to have the NDP backed by the Greens. From what you've followed in terms of politics, do you have some hope that for all the promises the NDP have made about really straightening out this real estate mess, do you think they can deliver?
For sure. I think both parties have been very adamant about their housing policies in terms of targeting speculation. I know that the NDP has proposed a 2% speculation tax. Obviously, that's something that a lot of people are pushing for. But again, it's sort of a rift. I mean, a lot of people say, hey, don't touch my housing market. And then a lot of people have reached that point where, enough's enough and how much higher can this go? And so I think that if the NDP and the Greens were to get together, I think that a lot of their policies, if they actually go ahead and implement them, will certainly have a cooling effect, most likely.
So this could be as early as this week that we might get a change of the guard in terms of the Liberal government falling. So far, though, you sell condos. How are your clients reacting to this new environment? Because, of course, before it was all about the single-family homes of Vancouver, so people wanted to buy a condo. Now, as you're saying, prices up more than 2%. Month over month, did I believe you say? Like that's a pretty big increase for that market. That must be a tough space to play in.
Yeah, it's a very tough space to play in because basically, I mean, from a client perspective, personally working with a lot of young millennial clients, it's tough to compete because not only do you have investors or speculators, whatever you want to call them, but you also have a lot of wealthy downsizers that are cashing out with $1 million cash in their pocket. So when you're competing, a lot of these condos are getting 4 or 5 offers on them at one time. So it becomes extremely difficult for these millennials. And then in order, a lot of the times, in order for them to actually win in one of these multiple offers, they almost have to go subject free, which again, that becomes another issue, especially when you don't even have 20% down payment. So it's definitely, not the friendliest of times for young buyers, for sure.
As we look back, I only have about a minute left with you, but we look at all the regulations brought in last year, the big freeze in the market, and now it's coming off. Was this simply the psychological shock of the government taking action at all?
Yeah, I think it was definitely from the foreign buyers tax perspective, I think it was definitely a psychological shock. I think for the most part, the market has digested it. So people will sort of argue that it didn't work, but I would almost argue we don't really know where the market would be had we not actually implemented the tax. So, prices could certainly be higher than they are today.
Steve, I want to ask you, the 15% foreign buyer tax had nothing to do with farmland. We're hearing concerns from mayors in the region that that's where the money is headed. Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, there's been a lot of publicity about it. I mean, personally, I grew up in Richmond where a lot of this is happening, and it's simple. If you just drive down a lot of these farmland roads, it is mega mansions, and I think that there's definitely a play to that. And as well, I think that people are just getting creative, whether it's farmland or pre-sales, ways to sort of avoid taxation, I guess.
All right, Steve, always a pleasure catching up with you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Greg.
It was Steve Saretsky, a realtor with Sutton West Coast Realty and the founder of Van City Condo Guide.